What's up, guys? Today I'm bringing you one last little piece of content from Master Premier League, and this is just the same old line with a completely different combination, kind of changing the identity. Before I get into it, huge shout out to my Patreon supporters. I've had awesome interactions with all of you. Everyone seems so nice and is so easy to talk to. Yeah, just you guys have my absolute deepest gratitude. But today we have a video showcasing what can kind of happen if you change lead. So I had recently gone back and tried to make some progress with the double steel lineup, but unfortunately the meta seemed to have shifted in a way that made that a bit harder than the last climb. My last climb was very easy with this team, so a lot more Togekiss leads, even a lot more Metagross leads to counter those Togekiss leads. It's just a lot harder out there for a Dragonite lead. So what I saw some other high ranked players do, and what I started to do, was just switch Magnezone to the lead. So I'm going to get this video going here really quick, and we can see how changing your lead can kind of change the identity of your team a little bit. So I would normally never recommend just switching up your lead on a whim. Like, if you just have a bad day of leads, it's not in your best interest, in my opinion, to just switch up your lead. But this was a consistent trend I was seeing over almost a week. Here we see a Togekiss lead, so already much better for Magnezone into Gyarados. I don't know why I didn't follow it out with Dragonite, but these are some of my earlier games with this team. I see a Garchomp here as well, and I'm just going to try and get as much damage done as I can for my Magnezone, because I realize I need to keep switch advantage to match my Dragonite, or keep my Dragonite away from their Togekiss. So in this game, I'm going to be able to shield and outrage, and they're going to go into Togekiss. And at this point, they still have 2 shields, so this game is not over yet. I decided I need to throw a Meteor Mash to avoid getting a Flamethrower down, but unfortunately, that is still probably going to happen. So now, Togekiss versus Dragonite. This is not a very great matchup, but luckily I am able to farm Togekiss completely down with Dragonite. You don't get to hear that very often, and get to double Dragon Claw, which should be enough to seal the deal in this game. Yeah, that's one of those teams where this team, this Waterfall, Gyarados, Garchomp in the back, and Togekiss in the lead team is like built. It's like they don't even really want to win games. They're built specifically to beat the Dragonite or the Dragon Double Steel teams. So like Dragonite or Garchomp Double Steel teams that are kind of everywhere. Center this. So just by switching the alignment there, we can get a favorable matchup and actually come out on top. Metagross lead. So this is another lead that was kind of sketchy before. Swapping right out to Metagross leads for a bait game where they get switch advantage. In this case, Magnezone can just deal a ton of damage, and you don't really have to worry too much about the damage from Bullet Punch. And you are able to usually win switch advantage. I know this is just a Meteor Mash, and even debuffed, I can take them down. They're going to come in with Garchomp here yet again. So once again, another team that is built pretty much to take care of this team. It's still going to be a tough matchup, just because Garchomp, if they get the bait off here, which they don't, is very tough. And it looks like it's 2 of the exact same team. So once again, another team specifically designed to counter the, well, not the exact same team, sorry, but very similar team, and designed to counter the Dragonite Lead Double Steel. So I, at this point, realized that I just need to farm down. Throwing any sort of charge move is probably going to be a loss, and I'm going to manage to farm all the way down. They're going to lose that matchup with 2 shields, which is not very common with this team. A lot of charge move damage. But as you can see, 2 leads already that were more beneficial to Magnezone. The other thing about this is, because of the weird composition of the team, because it's kind of a BBA team, just because you win the lead does not mean you win the game. It's actually kind of hard to take these down. So we're going to see Gyarados swap immediately into Metagross. I have no idea what or don't think I got to see what fast move the Gyarados had, but I'm assuming if it swaps out right away, it's usually Dragon Breath. In this case, they're committing a lot of shields to their Metagross, and I am fine with that. I just really want to take this Metagross down. I shield this Meteor Mash because I want to keep my Magnezone relatively healthy. Just because it's also my best Dragon Breath Gyarados counter as well. And also, surprisingly, does pretty well against Mamoswine. So I'm going to charge up a little bit more and get some more mirror shots off. I think in hindsight I probably should have swapped, but that's okay too. I figured that Metagross and Dragonite could probably deal with Dragon Breath Gyarados by committee. But I'm just going to get a Meteor Mash off there and then swap out. I could have saved the Meteor Mash for Mamoswine as well, but I decided to just take the Dragon Breath damage on Metagross and then take the Charge Move damage on Dragonite. And I'll get to that all-important Dragon Claw and try and take down this Mamoswine. I can't let them farm me down. That's their win condition there. They had energy for the Avalanche already, but they need to farm me down and get to the Bulldoze. So, once again, a pretty solid lead for Magnezone here, where I probably would have swapped out immediately with Dragonite because it was Dragon Breath Gyarados, and another Metagross. So this set is a perfect example of why I switched up the team in the first place. It's kind of unfortunate that Master League Premier is so rock, paper, scissorsy, but it is what it is, and it's almost over, so that is okay too. So it's in the lead. What you're trying to do is not let them get to an Earthquake on you the second time. You want to spend only one shield in Magnezone versus the Metagross, and they're going to spend even more shields. They two-shielded that. I could have taken them out, but I wanted to charge up a little bit, and Swampert comes in. So this is ideal scenario for me. I'm able to get that Wild Charge off. It does a decent amount of damage because Swampert's also a Water type, and then I can just farm all the way down with Swampert. With Dragonite on the Swampert. Usually if they're willing to bring a Swampert into your Shield type, it probably has Earthquake, not Sludge Wave, and can't threaten Dragonite at all. So I'm going to build up to a Hurricane, and I'm able to take out that Metagross before it can even get to a Meteor Mash. And then Dragonite versus Gyarados, not that great of a matchup, but we have Metagross in the back still, so this one is a pretty easy win. I think regardless of what Pokemon was in the back there, with a full health Dragonite and a full health Metagross, you're absolutely fine. So that's the thing, is you just gotta remember that your core of Metagross and Dragonite, I think, checks every Pokemon in the game, at least in the one shield. So as long as you have a shield up and both these Pokemon, and they have one remaining unknown Pokemon, you can win. So we're going to see our first tough lead matchup here. This would be a much easier lead matchup for Dragonite, but we have the Swampert lead. I'm going to charge up to a Wild Charge, throw it, shield, and then swap out. A lot of people like to CMP tie the Magnezone on this one, so that's kind of unfortunate when they do that. But in this case, you're able to bring in your Metagross, and I was scared of the Earthquake, unfortunately, so I shield that Hydro Cannon. But their Metagross comes out, I get a shield, and I'm going to get my second shield back here unless they let their Metagross go down, which they do. So that's absolutely huge. That's a way you can recover from a lost lead. Just try and take down their Pokemon. And I'm able to also get out of there with my Metagross into Dragonite. I did not want to lose my Metagross for no reason. Especially in a shieldless scenario, Metagross is absolutely fantastic. There's not too many Pokemon that beat it. And one of those Pokemon is certainly not Magnezone. So Magenzone throws Wild Charge, and I'm going to win the CMP tie here. That's why I was holding some energy, so that I can get this Dragon Claw off to deal a little bit more damage, which they end up shielding anyways. So because of this, they are now very low HP on Magnezone, and I'm going to bring back in my Magnezone, which I know they do not KO with a Mirror Shot or a Wild Charge. So I'm just going to get up to my Wild Charge and KO them as well. But I think I probably could have fast moved them down with Metagross as well. So as you see, this is a 5-0 set. I hadn't had one of those for a little while, running the old Dragonite team. I think the popularity, especially of the triple flyer lineup with Togekiss in the front, that really kind of was messing with this team quite heavily. But unfortunately, no, it's not all 5 zeros. I would be lying if I said that. So you're going to see a couple losses here and probably a couple more poor leads, but just the overall percentage of leads that Magnezone has been winning compared to Dragonite is incredible. And the other advantage is you don't really have to just give up switch advantage either. Like with Dragonite, he's your only non-steal, so you kind of want to swap out immediately to preserve him, if even in a neutral matchup. But with Magnezone, he's just one of your steals, so you can just kind of stick in versus that opposing Magnezone or that Metagross and just take them down. So Togekiss lead, another favorable lead, and then you're going to swap into Machamp. I'm not going to shield here because Dragonite's just going to get farmed down by Togekiss anyways, but I think in hindsight I probably should be shielding one anyway, or the first Rock Slide anyways in this matchup. This was something I learned here. But at the very least, I'm going to burn 2 shields if I'm going to lose switch advantage, which I will. So this is completely fine as well. It's not like I really need switch advantage too badly if Dragonite goes down, just because both Pokemon deal with Togekiss very well. We're going to see what other Pokemon they have here. They have no shields though, and it is a Swampert. So I have to be very careful with my shields here. I decided to use one, and they're going to bring in Togekiss. And I am going to charge up with Magnezone, and I really do not want to get Flamethrower down there, so I'm going to throw. And I have a little bit of energy left. I want to get this Wild Charge out so that I can't get farmed down as much by the Swampert. So that's why I throw it really early. And then I'm going to come in with my charged Earthquake and take out this Swampert. So even though I came out with a huge advantage there, Swampert, very scary for this team still once Dragonite is down. But didn't have too much of an issue there. Once again, that's one of those teams that explicitly is created to beat the Dragonite+Double Steel lineup with that Togekiss in the front and then the Swampert in the back. So you see a Dragonite lead. This is the exact opposite of how you would normally play it. They're going to throw Dragon Breaths. You don't want to throw any moves till you have 100 energy. So I charge up to 100 energy. I don't know. I sometimes Mirror Shot. I sometimes don't. This time it ended up paying off, and now I can no-shield this, although this is incredibly risky because if they Outrage or something like that, then I'm going to lose all that energy. Fortunately, I'm going to have to shield one anyway, so yeah, in hindsight, and in the future, guys, I would shield that first charge move that comes out of Dragonite if you're planning on shielding too. So I'm going to get another Wild Charge off, and look at this. They have spent both their shields already to win switch advantage. But once again, it doesn't really matter too much if the Magnezone goes down because you have so many other Pokemon, and you see here they're going to try and get to a charge move. I'm going to shield the Wild Charge, but I'm going to get to an Earthquake, and I'm counting a couple extra moves. I tried to move Denal there, and I didn't want them to get another charge move off, although I probably could have charged up some more. And because I overcharged a little bit, I'm going to beat this Metagross to his next charge move as well, and I'm going to get to Earthquake there before he does. So Metagross with shields down on the opposing team is absolutely scary. There's not too much you can do about that, and that's just a little example of how Metagross can perform. We didn't even get to see the Dragonite there. You just saw Magnezone and Metagross take out an entire team, like just 2 steel types. So that's what happens if they're not prepared for it. But we're going to see Gyarados lead, so once again, much better that this is Magnezone right now. I've been debating different ways to do this. Farming all the way down, it has been kind of an option, but they decide to let that through, and Swampert comes in. So even with Swampert leads, I like to throw Wild Charge, and because I've Double Steel in the front, I want to get out to Metagross. Ideally, they swap out here, but second best is they throw the Earthquake, and any Meteor Mash I'm going to throw here is going to KO. So they know that they have to trade shields here with me. And I call the bait. I think if it's an Earthquake, I shield there and then force the 2 shield scenario. But they let their Swampert go down, and now they have a Metagross, and I'm in a bit of a tricky situation here, just because I only have one shield. So I'm going to let my Metagross go down, and that's a really risky play, but I'm going to let my Magnezone go down to an Earthquake because I want to save the shield for my Dragonite. It just does more consistent damage. And I'm going to fast move, farm down this Metagross. So the other play would have been to shield my Magnezone. I actually miscounted, and was very certain that that was a Meteor Mash. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have let it through. But then you can shield and get 2 wild charges off, and the game's over. So in hindsight, that was not a very good play. But see another Dragonite lead. A little bit of lag there. I had quite a bit of lag during some of these sets. And no shield the first move if it's early enough that it can't be an outrage, and I'm just going to go for the back-to-back wild charge here, or mirror shot because I let one through. So cat needs to sit down. I'm just going for the mirror shot here, and in comes Snorlax. So I'm just going to let Magnezone go down here. Snorlax has, depending on what the moveset is, has a decent matchup versus Metagross, and they're going to throw a Body Slam, I'm pretty sure, and I'm going to shield. So that was pretty dumb. Most Snorlaxes aren't running Outrage, but I got very scared. And this guy's just running Body Slam, probably Body Slam Superpower, and in this point, I'm in a pretty bad situation. 2 shields down to 0. We talked about how strong Metagross is with a shield advantage. I'm going to make a play to catch the Meteor Mash. So this is a pretty big play here. It's the only thing keeping my hopes of winning alive. And I'm going to throw a Meteor Mash because I know he's going for an Earthquake. So I need to beat him to that move. And luckily, I actually managed to CMP tie him to this Earthquake. So this was my only shot to win. And I had a little bit of lag there. Couldn't click the Hurricane. But we're going to see if I can take this Metagross down. No, I cannot. And once again, I don't quite get to the Dragon Claw. I had to play very, very well at the end there to even have a chance after kind of some poor decision making, shielding a Body Slam at the beginning. But unfortunately, it just was not enough. Just a little bit off. So we're going to see a Garchomp lead. Garchomp lead obviously is not very good for this team, but they swap out immediately into Metagross. So I'm going to throw the bait. And the reason I do this is in the Metagross versus Metagross matchup, I really don't mind if they don't shield a Meteor Mash, especially if it's one of the later ones, because I can win the 2 shield. But then I also realize Garchomp is up, so I don't want to let this Garchomp just go shieldless against my Dragonite. So I go for the Earthquake. Luckily, they don't call it this time, but unfortunately, they are also running Earthquake. So no Sand Tomb, that means. That means I know this is an Outrage, and I still don't shield it. So that's just a huge misplay for me. I feel like I have a pretty good chance at winning that game if I don't make a really dumb move like that. Once you see the Earthquake, you know it's not a bait anymore. Nobody's running Sand Tomb Earthquake, so I'm not sure why I didn't click that shield button, but fortunately, I did have to remove a set in the middle here. There was really, really bad lag one day for one of my sets, and then my phone also ran out of memory and completely trashed that set. So Haxorus lead, this is probably the worst lead for this team. You can't really swap out to anything, and your only chance is to come in with Dragonite afterwards. So the other thing is they're probably also running something like Double Steel in the back, and once you've lost your Magnezone, it's a lot harder to deal with this Metagross. So my only chance here is to catch the Meteor Mash, and we get that caught, and Snorlax comes in. So this is really not an ideal scenario at this point. Even though they're only throwing Body Slams, it does not really matter. They can lick Metagross down and come in with a ton of energy against Dragonite. Yeah, and I don't quite get to that Meteor Mash, but I'm able to win CMP and get Dragon Claw off, see if they want to shield it, and they don't. So they've got 2 shields on Metagross. I've only got 1 shield on Dragonite. It's actually going to be pretty close because I have a ton of energy. Obviously, I have to shield here, otherwise the game is over. I didn't learn that last game, so I need to get to 2 more Dragon Claws here. And it's going to be incredibly close. Yeah, like right now, I don't think it's KO range for Dragon Claw, and unfortunately, I'm going to lose another game by just a sliver of health. So, Haxorus Lead, very, very hard to play around. I think what I should have done was throw Wild Charge earlier so that Haxorus dealt more damage, and then my Dragonite wouldn't have to deal with as much energy. So, they're going to swap to Snorlax. In this case, I'm going to build up, and I kind of want them to throw some energy. It's kind of doubtful that a Snorlax that just switches in and locks itself in will commit to a superpower right away. But I'm going to throw 2 Wild Charges here. And then I'm going to get out to my Dragonite just for a comfortable win. And I highly doubt they're at an outrage right now. And if they are, then kudos for them. They just swapped an outrage Snorlax into a Magnezone. I guess this is maybe what they were hoping for. But they're going to swap into a Magnezone of their own because the switch timer is up. Because I waited so long. So now we're at a bit of a... We've got an offset switch timer here. I'm really hoping they mirror shot so that I can get another Dragon Claw off. But unfortunately my attack drops. So we got to keep track of the switch timer here. Their switch timer isn't up. Mine is up. And so I have a big advantage here once again. But I kind of managed to throw it away by failing 2 baits, getting attack debuffed, baiting, and then failing. So I really should have just went for these moves in the first place, and I'm going to end up having to let my Magnezone go down here. So Magnezone goes down, I bring in Metagross and no shields, and they bring in their Snorlax, which makes me feel pretty comfortable about this game. Yeah, so they just leave. So yeah, huge advantage for me that I managed to almost throw away right there with some really poor play. That's why a lot of the time I always say don't bait. Failing a bait is way worse than just getting your move shielded in 90% of cases. We're going to see a Magnezone versus Magnezone lead. In most cases, you don't want to be the one to throw first, but this guy throws Wild Charge first, and I lock in my mirror shot. And somehow he doesn't shield. So the absolute balls on this guy. Congratulations, and he baits me and comes in with a Swampert. So while this seems like a pretty bad situation for me, like it's not great, I am able to bring the Dragonite into the Swampert, which is an ideal scenario. But this Swampert does have Sludge Wave, so I'm going to take a decent amount of damage. The second move will just be a Hydro Cannon. But it all adds up, and even though I have a ton of energy right now, depending on what comes in, I'm going to have a rough time. So Magnezone, in this case, still has a lot of HP because I was not able to land a Wild Charge on it while I was able to land Wild Charges on my Magnezone. But I'm able to burn a shield with Dragon Claw and switch back into my Magnezone to finish it off with the Wild Charge. So 1 shield, Metagross versus Dragonite, very Metagross favored, as long as I don't get hit by like a Draco Meteor at the end, so they have to bait me and then hit me with Draco Meteor. So I let the first move through, and I'm just getting up to 2 charge moves so I can throw them back to back and finish this game. Nice and easy. So determine my win condition and just execute. No need to go for fancy bait calls or bait plays or anything like that. Yeah, we've had only a couple poor leads, but even those poor leads, we've been able to work around some of them. But as I said, Magenzone has a lot of good matchups, and they're going to swap into Metagross into Mamoswine. So Mamoswines I found don't bait a lot. I'm just going to throw a Meteor Mash here to grab a Shields or feint them before they get to a Bulldoze, but they're going to get to another Bulldoze. I see nothing wrong with just double shielding my Metagross here And I realized I'm only one bullet punch from Earthquake, so if I get a correct bait, I can actually feint them in the one shield, but they call it perfectly, and because of that, I am in a bit of a tougher position. But I was able to get 2 Meteor Mashes off. I think they're gonna Earthquake me here, and I know they have a little bit of energy. I probably should have ended up building up to a Wild Charge first, so that they can't just Earthquake me down. But we're gonna actually, this is a very interesting game as well. So you're gonna see that I'm gonna stop attacking there, and I'm gonna stop attacking so that this Machamp will take me down my Magnezone and get the energy it needs to get to Wild Charge. In this case, I decided to feint him anyways because my switch timer is almost up and I'm able to swap and get that Wild Charge off. So if I had just let that, if I just feinted that Machamp, then the Metagross is going to come in and farm down my Dragonite and get to an Earthquake before my Magnezone can get to a Wild Charge, and then I will lose that game. So this is a case, and I'll be making a video about this pretty soon as well, but this is a case where it's very important that you do stop attacking it, and sometimes it is better to do nothing at all than to be trying to do something. So we have Garchomp here. I'm going to swap immediately into Metagross, and that was 8, so I'm going to shield, and for some reason is an Outrage. So now I know there's no Earthquake, and now I'm like 90, or no, I don't know I do know there's no Earthquake, so I'm 99% sure it is Outrage Sandtomb. So no more shields, and they're going to swap out to Dragonite. So Sandtomb, Metagross, coming with a Dragon Breath farm down, but they're going to let through a Meteor Mash, which does a ton of damage. And then instead of farming down, they're going to go for the Dragon Claw. So actually not in too bad of a position here. I'm going to come in with Magnezone because I really need energy on Magnezone right now. Much more than the Dragonite. Also Dragonite, I might have to risk using a shield. I know they're going to come in with Garchomp again. So it is important because I have such high energy that I dump some of it before I switch. I'm going to Mirror Shot and then swap out. And they're going to have a Metagross here. So this looks like a really tough position, right? They've got Metagross versus my Dragonite, and I have a Magnezone versus their Garchomp. But I'm going to get the Hurricane off, and this is very important because now I need to be able to farm down this Metagross and just... So I blow my shield there and really hope this Garchomp isn't at a charge move. I have 100 energy. I'm going to throw a Mirror Shot. This is important how I do this as well. Mirror Shot. I'm going to attack once more. Mirror Shot and Fast Move Denial so they don't get their Mud Shot through. And then I'll back-to-back Mirror Shot again so that once again their Mud Shot damage won't register. And I'm able to take down a Garchomp with a Magnezone with 3 straight Mirror Shots. With a little bit of help from my friend Advanced Mechanics. So I'm able to take that set 4-1 as well. This hasn't been as fast of a climb as the first time, even with the Magnezone lead. It's been a slow and steady climb. But I haven't had a negative day at all since I switched to it like 3 or 4 days ago. It's just been very steady. The hardest part about this has been catching the Torchics, but I finally get the excellent throw. So. Got a little bit of lag there even with the video. But yeah, as you can see, you can still beat the bad leads here. They're just a bit harder than the bad leads with Dragonite just because, yeah, you're running that BBA line now, so it's a bit weird. Dragonite Lead, we're going to play this the same as always. Charge up, play the game of Charge Move Chicken. I'm not going to shields Dragon Claw because I'm not debuffed yet. I could honestly even maybe let that through and still get both of my Wild Charges off, but it'd be very close, and I didn't want to risk it. So they're going to let it through, and I'm going to Mirror Shot. And even though they shield, I'm going to swap out. So this is something I started doing differently, and look at this. Because I swap out, their Metagross is coming in with an energy disadvantage in the one shield versus my Metagross. So I'm going to let that through because I don't really care if my Metagross goes down there. It's more about keeping that shield so my Magnezone can take down the Metagross. But once they did fail that bait, I'm able to charge all the way up and still guarantee that KO on their Metagross with an Earthquake, and in comes the Dragonite. Nicely lets me farm them down. But unfortunately, I'm not able to get to my Meteor Mash against this Togekiss. So this is going to be honestly a pretty close game. Because if they had fainted my Magnezone before I got to the Wild Charge, that game would be over. And Magnezone does need a little bit of chip damage plus Wild Charge to take down Togekiss. It's not just that one shot like Meteor Mashes. We're going to see another Dragonite lead. We'll see if it's another Dragonite Double Steel. They're still around. It's just been harder to climb up with it. And they're going to throw Dragon Claws right away, so this is a bit confusing to me, but that's okay. It makes my decision making really easy. I'm going to charge all the way up to 100, and they're still not switching out, which is what I was kind of scared of. Yeah, I'm surprised these Dragonite Double Steel teams don't switch out more often, but they're going to blow shields, and actually it's not this time. It is a Swampert, so I think switching might have actually not been too great in this case. It's kind of playing the odds and hoping that they are running a Dragonite Double Steel lineup, but I'm just going to let my Metagross go down. This Swampert has no energy remaining, and it's throwing Hydro Cannons, so it's going to tickle Dragonite, and I'm going to get to enter the next matchup with quite a bit of energy. Unfortunately, they have a Togekiss, so I have to throw a Hurricane, and they're going to let it through. And luckily, I'm able to get to a Mirror Shot before they switch or feint me. And now this Togekiss is at a charge move. I have to shield it regardless and hope they don't get the boost and farm down this Togekiss. So luckily, Dragon Breath's one-turn move with minimum damage, so you're able to kind of chip down those Pokemon that are extremely resistant anyways. So Swampert lead, this is not a very good lead. We'll see how I play the same thing, Wild Charge, and they're probably going to CMP tie me. Yeah. So yeah, Swampert leads are getting pretty smart. They've seen the Magnezone lead a bunch of times. Everyone's seen every lead. But I'm going to go down 2 shields here, shielding a Hydro Cannon, which is very unfortunate. And they're gonna blow a shield here and come in with their own Metagross. So I throw an Earthquake here, but in hindsight I really should have thrown a Meteor Mash, just because now this player is able to farm me all the way, or overcharge quite a bit, and my Magnezone cannot even really come in and get to a charge move. As you can see, it's actually a perfect overfarm. Get to a CMP tie there, and I'm Earthquake down. And there's not too much I can do versus this Metagross here. He gets the Meteor Mash, and I realize I have to have a ton of energy, and they have to have something weak in the back, and it just doesn't work out like that. They needed to have like a Garchomp or something there, and I needed to get to 2 Dragon Claws. That was very, very well played for my opponent, actually. Perfectly counting exactly how many moves. And, yep, Waterfall Gyarados. In hindsight, I really should have swapped, or Wild Charge and swapped out of this much earlier, because after an Aqua Tail, I can no longer guarantee switch advantage win, and I have to swap out, otherwise that Waterfall might actually KO me after I'm debuffed. Unfortunately, it's also running Crunch instead of Outrage, so I kind of have thrown this game already. I have a pretty big shield advantage, but switch advantage and health advantage, my Pokemon are not healthy at all, especially my Steel types. And now this Dragonite also has a energy lead, so if I were to bring in my Dragonite, then I might be in some trouble. Luckily, I'm just at a Wild Charge here, and I'm going to swap into my Dragonite, and I have 2 shields, so I have to shield up, but we'll see what they have in the back, and it is a Metagross. So this game is very hard. I'm going to charge up to a Hurricane and throw a Dragon Claw. And now that I have the bait, there actually is a win condition, but it's still very rough. I'm going to throw this Hurricane. I need to get this Metagross down as fast as possible, and unfortunately I miss a bubble in the flying. I'm not sure if that would have been enough to KO anyways, but because of that, I'm barely not able to get to that mirror shot, and I'm going to lose that game too. So, even so, still a lot of bad plays for myself. I probably could have won that game at least. They're going to swap into a Dragonite here. I'm just going to get to a Wild Charge and get out of there because they're switch locked. Metagross can farm down from this range, and this game should be very, very comfortable at this point. There's not too much that wants to deal with a loaded Metagross, especially because I've already seen a Metagross in the front. And I actually got Draco Meteored, so did not expect that from this Dragonite. I think more people are running Draco Meteor now. I'm going to throw a Meteor Mash to try and bait, and they don't buy it. In these cases, these are the cases where I just need to throw Earthquake. But they're going to get relatively low. With Magnezone and Dragonite and one shield, there's not a lot that beats that either. So we'll see what they have, and it is a Machamp. So Machamp very good against Magnezone. This game is actually not over yet, but they do decide to let that Wild Charge through, so now it is. With two shields, they're able to kind of bait or pressure shields with Rock Slide and potentially get a win there. But that's the end of that set, and this is the last set, I think. So I guess in conclusion, I would honestly say the Magnezone lead is probably, it works better in this current meta. Unfortunately, Premier Cup is over, or I don't know if I should say unfortunately, because I'm really excited for Halloween Cup. But just keep this in mind for next time Premier Cup rolls around. If you're planning on running the Dragonite Double Steel lineup, maybe also get familiar with how to run Magnezone in the lead and be able to switch it up depending on how the meta shapes forward. Like, are there going to be more fire types in the future that are viable? Maybe we have to go back to the Dragonite lead. Maybe we can't even run Double Steel anymore. But being able to kind of add some versatility to your gameplay and run Magnezone in the front is a pretty big thing. So, yeah, if you like this kind of content, once again, feel free to let me know. Subscribe, and join me on my Discord as well. It's been a lot of fun interacting with everybody. Finally, that we've got Discord set up. But yeah, as always, thanks for watching.